Hello class, happy week 11. Well, this is the final stretch. I'm not going to say any farewells just yet. So let me get through what I need to do here, and we'll say farewells for next week. How about that? Anyway, so week 11. This is actually the last real week of instruction and learning. The topic for the week is primarily regression analysis, which is just basically the correlation analysis we've gone over. The only difference between a correlation and a regression analysis is the ordering of your two variables. And when I say two, that's all we're dealing with when we talk about simple linear regression. If there was two or more independent variables or dependent variables, then we would use the term multiple regression. So we're just talking about two variables, an x, which is your independent or predictor variable, and a second variable, which is your y, or criterion dependent variable. So that's the big difference. X literally always becomes before y. So the alphabet, your knowledge of the alphabet should help you memorize that. So X is independent, Y is dependent, and that's the order of the variables when you run the regression. So there's some videos in this week's content that's really straightforward. Use the data analysis tool pack. It's just helpful to know which is your X variable, which is your Y variable, and when you select those correctly in using the tool pack, that you get that correct column in the tool pack. The tool pack will start, the top dialog box is the Y variable, but typically your data is arranged in columns. I personally like to have it arranged X as the left column, Y as the second or right column, is to keep that ordering in. But when you hit the tool pack, it wants you to put in the Y first, then the X. And what you need to know with the regression analysis, you'll get a few values in the output in the little table it produces. The big thing you need to pay attention to is the R squared. It's also the coefficient of determination. What that is, that's the percentage of variance accounted for in the dependent or Y variable by your independent or X variable. So for example, if your R squared, which is the square of the correlation, is say 0.62, you would say 62% of the variance in your dependent variable can be attributed to your X variable. And then we have this thing called the regression equation. If you remember way back to your days of algebra, it's no different than your old equation of intersecting lines of x and y, where the equation is y equals mx plus b. It's very similar in that regard, where y is your predicted value of an m being your slope, x being the value you would use to put in for that prediction, and then b, which is the intercept. Okay, and the intercept is the point of which on that vertical y-axis where your regression line crosses. Okay, that's what your intercept is. And so like when we did the scatter plots on the last assignment a couple weeks ago, and we had you put in, check the box for the regression equation, that should be helpful in understanding that and why that's important. Okay, because that line is the regression line within a scatter plot for a correlation analysis. So alright, so I looked ahead at the quote-unquote quiz or homework assignment this week. There's 2 attempts available for it. The first question is on ANOVA. Just know, very important to remember to set the p-value to 0.01. It should be 0.01 for everyone. If it's not, you can leave it as 0.05. But if the question asks you to set it at 0.01, make sure you set it to 0.01 in the analysis variance and within the tool pack. The second question is making a pivot table. You know how to do that. Very easy, okay? You did that way back, I think week 1 or 2 that was. Then there's 7 questions on the chi-square analysis. Before you get all, chi-square, that last assignment where you had that Excel file that had all those worksheets on it, that's going to come in real handy on plugging in the data that's supplied for you to run those analyses. And just know the chi-square is a test of independence between those 2 categories of data in your 2x2 or 2x3 contingency table. And again, you're looking at the significance level and the calculated compared to the critical value. And yes, you want it to be significant. Then there's the remaining 6 questions on regression analysis, hence what you're learning this week. Again, I think regression is very easy. Remember, it's just the ordering of variables, x and y, and the questions, I swear, if you just watch those 2 videos, you'll get it pretty quickly. Again, if you have any questions, just ask. And yes, there is a discussion topic for this week. Do what you want with it. This is new. They slipped in kind of like an evaluation type of discussion in there about the class. You can put whatever you want in there, good things, bad things, or save it for the actual course evaluation. Your call. Not required. That's optional. But that's it. And yes, I'm almost done grading the previous assignment. My in-laws are still here. One more day, and they're out of here. I actually shaved off the day by telling them they wouldn't make their flight, that they should stay at a hotel downtown so they're closer to the airport. So I got them out of here one day earlier. It's been a rough 2 weeks, folks, let me tell you. They're just a tough crowd. They're just not very mobile. And living in Okinawa, you basically just go swimming, snorkeling, scuba diving, paddleboarding, you name it. That's what you do here every day. And they like to sit around and just watch Fox News. That's their primary sport. And I don't even get Fox News here, so it's been rough, to say the least. Anyhow, okay, week 11, regression analysis. You have the quiz 11 to do. The discussion, and that's it. If you have any questions, just ask. And that's it. After next week, we have the final exam, which I'll give you more of a heads up on as well. Alrighty, let's have a great week. Ciao.